For years, fans of Turkish television and international drama have been holding their breath, waiting for the day when Demet Özdemir would finally speak openly about her past with Yaman. They shared one of the most unforgettable on-screen romances in Erkenci Kus, Daydreamer, a series that turned them into global stars overnight. But beyond the cameras, beyond the glowing lights of fame, the silence between the two was deafening. Demet never directly addressed what really happened, what she felt, or what she endured during those whirlwind years. Until now. Her recent interview stunned everyone. Demet, usually so careful with her words, finally dropped her guard. With eyes full of emotions and a voice trembling with honesty, she admitted, "There are truths I never shared, things that weighed on me for years." That single sentence was enough to send shockwaves across social media. Fans rushed to dissect every word, every pause, every hidden meaning. What was she holding back all this time? Why now? Behind the glamorous photo shoots and red carpet smiles, Demet carried a story that the world wasn't ready for. Insiders close to her revealed that she struggled with the constant questions about Yaman. Every press conference, every public appearance, someone would bring up his name. And though she smiled politely, those who knew her best could see the pain behind her eyes. The silence wasn't indifference, it was protection. Protection of her heart, her career, and maybe even of him. When the interviewer asked her directly about Can, she sighed deeply, looked away for a moment, and then returned her gaze with a mixture of strength and vulnerability. "People think silence means there is nothing to say," she began, "but silence sometimes hides the deepest truths." Those words broke the internet. Within hours, hashtags about Demet and Can began trending not only in Turkey but in Italy, Spain, Brazil, and even the United States. It wasn't just about two actors anymore, it was about a love story that blurred the lines between fiction and reality. Demet's revelation reminded everyone of those unforgettable days on set, when chemistry between her and Can was impossible to ignore. Fans still remember the way their eyes locked, the electricity in every scene, and the unspoken connection that seemed too real to be just acting. For many, her recent words confirmed what they had always suspected: there was more truth behind those scenes than anyone dared to admit. But what exactly is Demet ready to confess now? Is it regret, longing, or perhaps a final closure? As she carefully unfolded her story, it became clear that this was not just another celebrity interview. This was a confession years in the making, a confession that could change the way fans see both her and Yaman forever. As Demet's words echoed through the interview room, a silence fell upon everyone present. It wasn't just the fans watching online who were captivated. It was the journalists, the camera crew, even the interviewer herself. For the first time in years, Demet allowed her heart to speak louder than her carefully crafted public image. She continued, "It's not easy to carry memories that people turn into rumors. It's not easy to protect yourself while the world insists on creating its own version of your life." With this statement, she made it clear, the relationship with Yaman, whatever it truly was, had been weighed down by the expectations of millions. They weren't just two people exploring emotions, they were symbols, icons, fantasies for fans who wanted their on-screen fairy tale to be real. But what about Can? Did he ever acknowledge these feelings? Demet avoided giving a direct answer, but the slight smile that crossed her face when his name was mentioned spoke volumes. It was the kind of smile one makes when remembering a moment so personal, so intimate, that words could never do it justice. Fans immediately pointed this out, saying her expression was worth more than 1,000 declarations. Those close to Demet explained that she often felt trapped between love and duty. On one side was her undeniable bond with Can, something that lit up the screen and, according to whispers, continued off it. On the other side was her fear of being defined solely by that bond. Demet wanted to be recognized for her talent, her work, and her individuality, not just as the woman who loved Yaman. That conflict became her greatest struggle, and perhaps the reason behind years of silence. Meanwhile, Yaman, now a global star in his own right, has given several interviews where his tone hinted at regret, nostalgia, and at times, pain. While he never directly confessed the depth of their relationship, his cryptic answers only fueled the mystery. Fans replayed those clips endlessly, connecting dots, creating theories, and waiting for the day Demet would speak. That day has now arrived. Social media exploded with side-by-side videos, Can's old interviews compared with Demet's fresh revelations. "Look at the way he avoided this question," one fan wrote. "And now listen to Demet, she's confirming what we always suspected." Another comment read, "This is not just gossip. This is history being told by the ones who lived it." But Demet's confession was not only about love, it was about healing. She revealed that staying silent for so long was her way of protecting her mental health. "Sometimes you have to distance yourself from the noise to understand your own truth," she said. For years, she endured endless speculation, fake stories, and even personal attacks. Choosing silence was her survival strategy. And yet, even in her silence, the love story never died. With her new words, Demet didn't just break the silence, she reopened old wounds, reignited old passions, and reminded everyone that some stories never truly end. And the question on everyone's mind now is, will Yaman respond? The aftermath of Demet's revelation was immediate. News outlets across Europe and the Middle East picked up her words within minutes. Headlines screamed, "Demet Özdemir finally speaks on Yaman, a silence broken after years," and the confession that shook fans worldwide. In Italy, where Yaman is practically a national treasure, the press treated the story like breaking news. Television talk shows began replaying clips of Demet's interview, pausing frame by frame to analyze her expressions, her tone, her pauses. One Italian journalist commented, "This is not just a statement, it's a love letter written in silence, finally spoken aloud." Fans flooded comment sections with thousands of messages. Some were supportive, "Finally, Demet has given us the truth we were waiting for." Others were emotional, "I cried watching her, because you can see the pain still in her eyes." And some were hopeful, "This means there's still something between them. Maybe destiny hasn't finished writing their story." Meanwhile, Yaman himself remained silent. His social media accounts, usually so active with posts about projects and charity events, suddenly went quiet. For many, this was a sign. They believed he had seen the interview, that he was processing Demet's words. Rumors spread that he had called his closest friends in Istanbul immediately after watching the clip. Some even claimed he was spotted looking unusually emotional at a recent event in Rome. Demet, however, seemed prepared for the storm she had unleashed. She acknowledged that by finally speaking, she was opening herself up to even more speculation. Yet, she made it clear, "I didn't speak for the headlines. I spoke for myself." Her statement resonated with many fans who admired her courage. For the first time, she wasn't protecting an image, a brand, or a carefully constructed silence. She was protecting her truth. Industry insiders revealed that her decision to finally break her silence was not spontaneous. Apparently, Demet had been considering this for months. She had been journaling, reflecting on her past, and speaking with close friends. She realized that her silence was no longer shielding her, it was holding her captive. And when the opportunity came to address the topic directly in a major interview, she took it. For Can and Demet's loyal supporters, this was the confirmation they had long awaited. They remembered the way their story began, on a summer set filled with laughter and chemistry so electric that even the crew whispered about it. They remembered the rumors of late-night phone calls, private dinners, and the emotional goodbyes when projects ended. And now, hearing Demet finally acknowledge the weight of it all felt like closing a circle, yet at the same time, opening a new chapter. But as powerful as her confession was, it left more questions than answers. Did she still have feelings for Can? Was there unfinished business between them? Or was this her way of finally letting go? The world may not know just yet, but one thing is certain, Demet Özdemir has changed the conversation forever. And now, the spotlight has shifted. Everyone is waiting for the next move, not from Demet, but from Yaman himself. As the media frenzy intensified, Demet found herself at the center of a global conversation. Every word she had spoken was dissected, translated into multiple languages, and debated endlessly. Yet through it all, she remained calm. Friends close to her revealed that she felt lighter, as if releasing those words had freed her from a burden she carried for too long. People imagine silence as emptiness, she explained in the interview. But in truth, silence can be full of memories, full of feelings, full of things you're not ready to share. Her confession was not simply about a past romance, it was about vulnerability, about the cost of fame, and about the courage it takes to show your heart when the world is watching. For Yaman, the silence on his end grew louder with each passing day. Fans speculated that he was torn between pride and longing. Pride, because acknowledging Demet's words would reopen wounds he had carefully hidden. Longing, because perhaps he too carried memories that had never faded. In Turkey, fans held online live streams dedicated to discussing Demet's revelations. Some believed this could mark a reconciliation between the two, at least on a personal level. Others thought it was Demet's way of closing the book once and for all. In Italy, newspapers framed it as the confession of the decade, highlighting how their story had crossed borders and touched millions. Meanwhile, Demet dropped subtle hints about her growth since those years. She emphasized that she had learned to separate personal emotions from professional obligations. Yet, when pressed about whether she regretted anything, she smiled with a bittersweet expression and said, "No, because everything that happened made me who I am today." That single sentence was enough to reignite hope in fans who wanted to believe her words carried a hidden message. Some argued that she was indirectly saying her moments with Can, however complicated, were among the most defining of her life. Others insisted she was leaving the past behind for good. But the emotional weight of her words could not be denied. Demet had not only broken her silence, she had reminded the world of the fragile line between fiction and reality, between performance and true feeling. And in doing so, she had once again tied her story to Yaman's, whether she wanted to or not. The world now waits, holding its breath, for Yaman's response. Will he finally address the story that has followed him for years? Will he acknowledge Demet's courage, her vulnerability, and perhaps add his own truth to the narrative? Or will he remain in silence, leaving the mystery alive forever? One thing is certain. Demet's revelation has changed everything. It has brought closure to some, hope to others, and endless curiosity to all. Fans across continents feel more connected to her now than ever before, not as a distant star, but as a woman brave enough to speak from her heart. Her words will echo for years to come. Silence sometimes hides the deepest truths. And now that silence has been broken, nothing will ever be the same again. Because in the end, this was never just about a love story between two actors. This was about resilience, vulnerability, and the power of truth. And whether Yaman speaks tomorrow, next month, or never at all, Demet Özdemir's voice will remain unforgettable. She has spoken, and the world will never forget.